Hey guys, it's Maddie and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to do a quick summary of the book Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. This book came out early of 2023 and then Iron Flame, the second book, came out in November of 2023, and the third book, Onyx Storm, has been released or announced to be released in January of 2025. So I wanted to do a recap of Fourth Wing because I'm doing my reread of this series now, and I wanted to put out like a quick overview of this book in case you're wanting to pick up the series and just want to kind of get an idea of what you're getting into. This is going to be spoiler free, so don't worry about that. I'm not going to drop any big spoilers for the plot, characters, things like that. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Our main character is Violet Sorrengail, and she is the daughter of the general Lilith Sorrengail, and Violet has become of age to enter into a quadrant, and that quadrant decides what your future is going to be like. So there are four. There are the scribes, the infantry, the healers, and the riders. The riders are the ones who get the badass dragons, and Violet's mom is like the general of the army at Navarre. That is where our book takes place. Violet's father was a scribe, so Violet grew up thinking that's where she would be headed as well, and they're the ones who are in charge of like the books, keeping the history, things like that, but her father passes away and then her mom takes control and she forces Violet to become a rider. There are huge leaps and bounds in becoming a rider. The first off, you have to cross this parapet to get to the rider's quadrant itself, and it's like a huge slippery stone bridge essentially that you have to cross, and if you fall off, you die. And if you survive the parapet, you are then forced to do hand-to-hand combat with your fellow riders, and these people can kill you at any given point except for when you're sleeping, so you always have to be on edge. But Violet has an even bigger target on her back because of who her mother is. So years before our book takes place, there was this big rebellion against the government of Navarre, and Lilith Sorrengail saw the execution of all of the members of the rebellion, and they were executed in front of their own children, and as a continuing punishment, the children of the rebellions are forced to be riders, and they are also marked with this like relic that identifies them as who they are, and they are referred to as the marked ones. People are kind of iffy about them. They don't really trust them, don't want a whole lot to do with them for the most part. Like, they're kind of seen as outsiders, but the marked ones kind of stick together and look out for one another. And the final task of becoming a rider is known as threshing, and that is where you need to find a dragon and bond with it. And once you have a bonded dragon, they are able to channel some of their powers to their rider, and then the rider manifests a signet, which is like a magical power. So one of our characters, Dane, he is a childhood best friend of Violet, and they grew up together. He went off, became a rider, and his signet is he is able to read people's past memories, like their most recent ones, I think, by touching them on the head or the temple. And Xaden, who is obviously our character's love interest because this is a romantasy book, he is a shadow wielder, so he can like manipulate shadows. But Xaden has it out for Violet right from the very beginning because his dad was the leader of the rebellion, so he has a little bit more connection to the execution and things like that. And something happens between him and Violet and how their situation plays out. So he wants to distance himself and wants to have it out for Violet, but because of what unfolds, he's not really able to. He has his hands tied and a lot more at stake in regards to Violet's life. And as I mentioned before, Dane Ados, he is like kind of a friendly face for Violet in the Rider's Quadrant, and she finds comfort in knowing a person there amongst the chaos that soon unravels. So basically Violet is fighting for her life and trying to prove herself worthy because she is at a bit of a disadvantage. She has like this illness that affects her and her joints and her mobility and just her stature and her strength. So she is already seen as a weak link, and the riders want to get rid of the weak links, and that is done by murdering them. So she is always on edge, looking around, and she doesn't know who she can trust, and some things kind of shake her up a bit, and she doesn't know who she can trust, doesn't know where to form alliances and who her allies are, and she gets betrayed and stabbed in the back a couple of times. But she has a best friend, Rhiannon, and she is a badass, and she is so cool, and always, like, her and Violet sparked up their friendship on the parapet when Violet gave her some words of advice, and Rhiannon is a real one. She has got Violet through thick and thin. Violet also has two siblings, Brennan and Mira. They were both riders. Mira is still, I think she's like a lieutenant or something. She's pretty high up in the ranks, and Brennan actually passed away, and the circumstances that he passed away on are kind of fuzzy. Like, there's no real set story about what happened. So Violet's kind of trying to like discover some more information about what happened to him, about this one guy he might have been connected to, his dragons, his signet, things like that. Like, he was a pretty important person in the Riders Quadrant, and she wants to like kind of carry on his legacy, that's the word. And this isn't a spoiler, but Violet does end up bonding to a dragon, so she is working through her signet and trying to figure out life now with a dragon, and having a dragon talk to you in your head and being able to have these magical powers. And one of the final challenges, I guess, of being a first year is this final battle, and her wing, fourth wing, that's where the title comes from. That is like what her little group is called of students. They are in the fourth wing. They get sent off to this battle in this like faraway land. I don't really know where it is, but there shit hits the fan and things go very, very badly, and it doesn't turn out well, and some truths become discovered and revealed, and it sets up perfectly for Iron Flame. But I think that's pretty much all of like the main points of Fourth Wing. It is a great book. There is chemistry, friendship, a war college, battles, dragons, of course, that's like the most important thing. And this book, I find it was very fast paced. I love it. It is a great, great read, and rereading it, I have discovered so much that I missed the first time through, and a lot of the foreshadowing, and there is heartbreak. I cried at the end of this book because it just like, it got to me, because these characters are so well-rounded and so deep, and you really get a good connection with them, and you are rooting for them the whole way through. One of them really pissed me off, and he's not in my good books, but I will let you make up your own opinion on that. But anyways, I hope you pick up this book and get into the Empyrean series with me, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!